Welcome to Last Week in Warframe, a series where I keep you updated on the past week of Warframe by compiling news, announcements, and general posts by the developers from the forums, Reddit, Twitter, and even their live streams. Timestamps to each topic as well as their sources are in the description, so without further ado, let's go over these announcements and news from the 10th of December to the 31st to conclude 2019. Devstream 135 went live on the 21st of December, and the information from it follows. Please keep in mind I have not played, read, or covered anything Empyrean since its release on PC at the Game Awards. First off, they said Empyrean resources will have the resource drop counts increased instead of recipe requirements changed due to ongoing player crafting, but it may be revised later. Archwing usage stats were shown and are on screen, plus Scott commented that Archwing will go through a major redesign focused towards Railjack combat, saying there will be a hammer, a nerf, buffs, and changes for everything, starting fresh. He also added they have been talking about taking the original Archwings and busting them into modular pieces and shipping everything out as one giant modular set, with players acquiring the modular parts for their currently owned Archwings if the system gets released. He had also said raids in response to a question about making Empyrean squad sizes higher to 8, while Jeff and Steve mentioned squadling. The team said the following in regards to Empyrean's random roll parts and whatnot.
So all the gear I have, any of them do the job. A lot of people have raised a lot of questions about the bonus RNG stats. So the way that has kind of shaped out in the community is, the core attributes are generally the same, but then there's the added bonus RNG stats on them. And that's kind of going two ways. People that are like, I play other games, RNG, this is just how looter shooters work. You play your other popular games, and then others are like, well, why start now, DE? So I don't know if we have any sort of philosophies or approaches to adding these.
It's funny, I mean, the first version of Warframe had mods with random stats.
Yes.
If you've been with us long enough, you might remember the Dead Space UI. And there were a few reasons we took that out. One of them was database storage.
Right.
People would hoard their mods, and so we'd run out of hard drive space on our database. I don't know. What do you think? I think obviously it's a balance between I have no reason to play because I've got everything.
Yep.
And the converse is I feel like I can't get the best stuff and relax.
Yeah.
So I think we're toying with those things in Warframe. You saw us do that with the Lich weapons as well. So it's not like it's a completely new foreign concept to
I think we just need to look at the drop rates on some of the random stuff.
We need to look at the
if
drop
it's really
rates.
low, it's probably too low,
Yep.
and we just need to maybe buff it up a bit.
Yep, and attribute transfer to kind of make sure that people aren't getting, or making it easier for you to swap once you've found something you like.
Yes. I think it's not mandatory, which is a key
It
part.
isn't mandatory,
Yeah.
but I know depending on the type of player you are, you sometimes feel those things are mandatory anyway.
Yeah.
So our intention is not to put the thumb screws on you, but to give you a little bit more evergreen rewards here. And again, when we get back from the break, we'll be taking a look at the resource balances as well as those things as well.
In response to players requesting a larger vacuum in space, Scott said they'll slowly increase it and monitor it, and that ideally it isn't painful to pick up stuff. And Steve added that they know people get a little impatient when a pilot is meticulous at getting all the resources, but they think it's kind of neat that you can kind of clean up in the end of the mission. But they don't want that to be super time consuming. In talks about Refinement, Steve said he is not sure if they should kill refining as it's supposed to be a bonus, but the bookkeeping stuff when transitioning missions, he agrees should be automatic. He also thanked players for being patient and providing quality of life feedback. Steve said that they will be looking at the in-play system of only the host being able to launch missions in 2020. They showed a graph of intrinsic choices that's up on the screen and said if you're at rank 10, please get some sleep, don't burn out in a few days, and take breaks. Scott also added the following, and he said, or we will cap gains. Steve said that players have said that wreckage repair drones feel icky for the game and that it isn't their intent, and that they take a lot of pride in having a fair monetization scheme and a fair balance between trading time for money. It was something they had some trepidation about and they've discussed a bit, but he is not saying they will rip it out, but it will be something they touch up. but he did continue by saying that they did start giving it away as an award as well for free. They are looking at it and agree that it's not where it needs to be. Valkyr Deluxe skin is in the works by Liger. Scott said he doesn't see why not. To the question about making Wreckage tradable and in progress Wreckage cancelling will be coming soon. The best-selling domestic drone since release was Mood. Ash Deluxe is at the low poly work in progress state. Garuda Deluxe is working in-game, and Ivara Deluxe will be good to ship in January. There are plans to make another new Zephyr Deluxe, separate to that of the previous one shown whenever the hell that was. A new Pablo female Warframe is in the works, and only the animations were shown on that stream and are on screen now. Obviously the mesh is not the Warframe. This frame kicks around balls like a hacky sack and will be a tech frame with devices according to Jeff. Now that concludes the dev streams for 2019 with 135. We now continue the episode to the launch of Empyrean. It's live on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 as of writing the script. Nintendo Switch's release will come in 2020. Obviously, Xbox One and PlayStation 4 have the Rising Tide update, but Nintendo Switch also has it as well. For those unable to blink on consoles, go into your customized controller screen in the options and save on the way out, and then try again. And due to the fact I have yet to play Empyrean at all I can tell you is that the update is live, as well as the following hotfixes on PC. 27.0.1, 27.0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, and 0.8. What I can also share is that Ivara Prime Access has gone live, Riven disposition changes have been made, and because of that, each weapon variant, with the exception of melee weapons, has their own Riven disposition. DE, as usual, has also released feedback and bug report threads on the forums under the title General Feedback, Matchmaking, Mission and Difficulty, Tenno Reinforcements, Intrinsics, and Economy. All will eventually be covered within a patch note video. Apologies once again for the lack of information here, but like usual, I'll link to everything in the description, so you can have a full read there. Next up was a post made by Rebecca titled Empyrean, A Journey So Far. I'll be reading it verbatim, so apologies for the length, but I have no idea what I'm talking about here. The post reads, 6 days ago on PC, Empyrean launched. We have done 5 hotfixes with more to come before we rest up over the holidays. Did the update release exactly as we had hoped? Not exactly. We've got bugs to fix and things to balance. We want to go over where we are and coming changes. We're breaking this down into sections: the co-op, Railjack and Intrinsics, resources, loot and RNG, the beyond, and conclusion. Under the co-op, she said, the phrase, we all live together, has never been more true with Railjack. The moment-to-moment contributions you make all matter, and greater coordination efforts lead to success. We've heard the stories and seen sessions of our own where people frantically are asking, does anyone see the incoming ram sled? Going out to take the cruise ship. We need more Revelite and munitions. Going out to collect some resources. We're low on pustrals, and so on. Before missions even start, we see people discussing what intrinsic skills are currently your best to help your team, what the host Railjack is equipped with in terms of firepower, and what payload preparations have been made. A key part of all co-op sessions has been the better you know Warframe, the more likely and faster you'll succeed. Your existing mastery of parkour, weapons, and more are needed, while everyone is learning how to master the new tools within Railjack. In fact, your mastery is so evident you are progressing through the nodes faster than we expected, but that's alright and well earned. The power of cooperation and top tier performance. Despite some matchmaking issues the first day, we're seeing extremely high success rates on public matchmaking missions. While Earth is where people are learning the ropes, Free Flight is providing a stress-free way to practice. We are seeing just under 2 million successful missions so far, and counting. For those that don't succeed, we are running continued diagnostics for outright failures versus bugs, which we are fixing daily. We will continue deploying hotfixes as frequently as we can, with a minor break for the holidays while our heroes in support remain around. Under the section Railjack and Intrinsics, they said, the Railjack is the biggest item in game for a Tenno to customize and upgrade. We were careful to make all personal progress independent of a Railjack with Intrinsics, but also ensured Railjack customization was a desirable series of goals for players. This is the foundation for us to build on. In regular Warframe missions, you don't always have clear roles, and can mostly brute force your way through a mission with enough firepower. On your Railjack, having clear rolls is a surefire way to a successful mission. Unlike in regular missions, your loadout sometimes limits your ability to flex rolls, so long as you mastered the basics, and have a few points invested in each intrinsic tree. Swapping between roles to fit your crew's needs is very freeing. Intrinsics are one of the first XP-based progression systems we've released without a daily cap. This decision was based on feedback from our past releases, but we want to ensure our players know to strike a healthy balance when playing. Let's take a look at the latest graph at how your intrinsic choices have mapped out so far, where they show the previously shown chart. Once again, it's up on your screen. This graph shows how many Tenno fit into a certain intrinsic rank per category. Each bar corresponds to a rank indicated on the right hand side, but each column is in order. Within 6 days, we're seeing people progress as expected throughout the ranks. We want rank 10 to be a very long-term goal, the most long-term goal within the entire Empyrean update, with a focus on specialization the deeper in you get. Does anything surprise you about this breakdown visualization? Curious about your thoughts. Under the section on resources, they said. The Empyrean update is almost like a reset. Everyone starts from the same point with a few exceptions. This means every resource cost is a best estimate. Expect to see positive changes in specific drop rates, such as titanium, as well as a general increase in uncommon and common resource appearances throughout crates in your missions, smash and grab, all the things. You should also expect to see the ability to halt repairs you've started. This means if you've made progress towards one component or armament, and you come across a better one, you can simply move those resources over. Many players have found themselves in that exact scenario. They start contributing to one piece of wreckage, only to find a better piece in another mission. If they don't finish their first repair, they lose the resources, and at best, get 50% back with scrapping. This change will allow you to better distribute your resources across unrepaired wreckage with no losses. The scariest thing about balancing resources overall is the inevitable place we all end up with our stockpiles. Balancing resource goals for players that aren't too punishing requires a careful touch, especially for a system where all players start from nothing. Community feedback and stats are two invaluable tools that will allow us to tune this balance. Resources are a particular hot topic because of how they play into the loot, which is the next section. The loot and RNG. Firstly, true loot sharing is en route, just being tested. Hopefully we can hotfix this soon. This means the pickups on points of interest, as an example on a ship killer you've been tasked to destroy, will be shared with the Railjack crew. This behavior is crucial for the co-op experience and is in progress. The loot in Railjack is structured specifically to have a harder content, better reward approach. On paper, this all checks out the further you go into the Proxima regions, Mark III only being in the Veil, etc. People can and do want to get better equipment for their Railjacks, but with this update comes one familiar face: resources and RNG. We took a tried and true model, used resources to build your gear, we added randomness to the components and armaments received as wreckage in mission that was not properly communicated, which the in-game tools are now showing before you invest. Example, your armaments now show the random stat on screen before you repair. There is a constant struggle between making sure players feel like there is always a worthwhile reward to seek out, versus the done and moved on mentality. This is why we did not include any mastery to these components or armaments, and instead put mastery on the reliable progression of intrinsics. Players who want to participate in the replay for different stats can, but it is in no way mandatory for any progress. Missions themselves provide end-of-mission rewards, which people have reliably requested changes to, from removing botched credit bundles and soon chaotic. We will be making further changes to these beyond the relics we added yesterday. There are two main areas of RNG high on people's radars: Avionics and Wreckage. This is not exhaustive, just the most discussed. Avionics had their drop rates increased yesterday from 10% to 15%, and we are still reviewing the impact of this change. The wreckage found in Railjack missions are meant to create ships that feel distinctly your own, and to give you goals in missions towards finding ways to improve your ship even more. The implementation of the wreckage system has some kinks, and some bugs that we have work to fix, that is causing understandable frustration. It's on us as developers to tweak this system so that Tenno don't feel forced to waste wait until they get Mark III Wreckage before they invest resources. This problem is linked inherently to the loot and resources section above, but also requires more quality of life changes on our end, like being able to cancel incomplete repairs. There's a third bonus area concerning a certain anomaly, but after today's hotfix you'll see the factor at play is not exactly RNG. You'll know exactly when and where a certain anomaly is present soon. Under the Beyond section, some of you may have already seen hints as to what is coming for your Railjack crew, and we have gone on the record during Devstreams and TennoCons about our plans. We are aiming to expand this new, aggressively ambitious era of Warframe to include new mission types, new enemies, and new rewards, all while tying it into the overarching plot of Warframe's narrative. We are excited to share that experience with you and more grateful than words can convey for your patience on this journey. Under the conclusion, they finished it with, "We don't want challenging to be synonymous with punishing. That's not our motivation or end goal with Empyrean. Just as keeping your Railjack afloat is a collaborative effort and experience, our hotfixing and further considerations of the game mode are treated in the same vein between us as a community." Anyway, let's continue. DE had released Empyrean merchandise on their merchandise website, with those items only being available up to the 7th of January. So, yeah, it included a metal Railjack keychain, an Empyrean Lotus shirt, a Railjack blanket, and a Railjack air freshener. A new Platinum pack is also available on the Warframe website's Platinum page. It's titled Empyrean Supporter Pack. It includes 570 Platinum, the Itzul armor set, the Empyrean sigil, commander emote, Railjack in action glyph, and Empyrean poster. The Origin pack is also live on that same site, and it contains an exclusive signed Dana and 200 platinum. A new Twitch Prime pack is also available for those that have Twitch Prime, and it's titled Twitch Prime Starter Pack. It contains a Karuk weapon blueprint, dual scanner blueprint, 100,000 credits, an energy siphon mod, fury mod, Lotus Noggle glyph, and the Twitch color palette. DE Drew has updated us that another batch of Prime Noggles was distributed over the holidays. For players who purchase the Prime Access and Prime Vault packs, you now receive Prime Warframe Noggles through an inbox message, so check that out. On Reddit, Rebecca shared that they will ask the team for more UI information elements and indicators. RNG item rolls with low drop chances will be addressed as per Rebecca's response on Reddit and Scott's response on Twitter. Scott's tweet read, "Just clearing up thoughts on wreckage and RNG stats and drop rates. I think we missed the mark with some drop rates of RNG stat items. I think we need to crank up the rate they drop so you can sort through and figure out what you want to keep and what you think is good for you." Few of his replies to players to this tweet follow. Scott said, "Auto-marking important drops is a quality of life thing we can do." He said 100% to someone reminding him to reduce repair costs to allow for testing. He said yep to a request for a UI widget that shows how close to the wreckage cap you are. A review of Mark 1 to Mark 2 will be done. RNG isn't going anywhere. Scott says that different roles per squad member is terrible and that there's 100% need to fix it. Win as a squad, lose as a squad, grow as a squad. They still plan on making planet-side Railjack launches. At some point, players will be able to upgrade or customize the forward artillery. And lastly, to end this episode of Last Week in Warframe, which is covering everything from the end of the year, DE George released a tweet of behind-the-scenes Empyrean music tracks saying the following. Track has strings, brass, choir, guitar, taiko drums, an emulation of the 70s Yamaha CS80 synth that was also used in Blade. That concludes the final episode of Last Week in Warframe for 2019. If you want the channel glyphs, they are up on your screen, 5 codes per platform or something. If you want the last episode annotation on your screen as well, thanks for watching.